Detective William Brimel rubbed his sleepless eyes, glancing across the desk nervously. It had been another anxious night. Anxiety and fear over having to face the reprehensible in the morning, and he could already feel his eyelids drooping and a throbbing pain in his left hand. Detective Brimel had spent his fair share of time around troubled people before in his line of work, but Jay was the first one who scared him deep down to the pit of his stomach. Over the years, the detective had met and interrogated hundreds of criminals, from thieves and con men to rapists and killers, but none had scared him as much as Jay. Jay was, without question, a true psychopath. He had an inhuman ability to crawl inside someone's mind long before they ever realized it was happening, and Detective Brimel was conscious of what could happen if Jay was able to penetrate his soul. In a very real sense, Jay was evil in the flesh, and William Brimel was all too aware of the mounting stakes at play in their latest meeting.
Well, here we are again, Jay. Are you going to talk to me today? Or is it just going to be more of the same old shit?
Detective Brimel knew Jay wouldn't respond. He never did. He sat still, feeding off the silence, a vampire sucking his victim dry, savoring every moment.
I ask you a question, Jay.
Do you know what a reflection really is?
So you can talk.
It shows a person who they really are.
Jay cocked his head to the side, a deranged and impulsive habit.
It doesn't matter the situation. A reflection never lies. It will always show a person who they really are in their truest form.
You know what? I'm not interested in this anymore, okay? Do you hear me, Jay? I'm not interested.
It wasn't uncommon for Jay to ask random questions during their interrogations, and Detective Brimel always feared these little segues. He had the feeling Jay was 3 steps ahead of his one, and he was constantly terrified of what the end of the game would bring. In chess, it was checkmate, a thought that forever kept Detective Brimel on edge.
Pictures can be manipulated, enhanced, changed, but a reflection is constant and unchanging. It is, in essence, truly the thing that it embodies. Nothing more, nothing less, just that.
You're not wasting another second of my time. Why don't we talk about the things you've done?
What do you suppose animals think when they see themselves in the water, Will? Pride? Surprise? Vanity? I don't imagine they feel anything at all. They just know that they're there, that they're alive.
Yeah, honestly, I don't care.
Detective Brimel could try, but he already knew from experience that his answers wouldn't matter. Once Jay started in with an idea, nothing would stop him from acting on it. If Jay was intent on seeing his darkest impulses come to light, they would.
Humans, I guess, don't have such a luxury. No. They see every blemish, imperfection, every awful thing there is to see, not only in themselves, but everyone else around them. And what's worse is they actually look for it. They want to see it.
Jay, I told you I don't care about your riddles.
Detective Brimel could feel himself being drawn in, slipping. Make him stop, thought William. Just shut him up now. Detective Brimel's anger was surging. Why had Jay become his problem anyway? Plenty of other detectives had the same experience he did. Why was it him that was singled out to deal with Jay? There wasn't anything special about him. The thought began to consume him, incensing him more and more.
I used to drive myself crazy with these optical illusions. Are they swans or elephants? Angels or devils? But you know what? It finally hit me. It's neither. It's a cruel joke. A sick fucking game. And you know what it creates, Will? Chaos. It's hatred. Fighting between people to prove who's right and who's wrong. And why? Because people only see what they choose to see.
I told you, I don't care about this.
What do you see when you look at me, Will?
I see a sick, fucked up person. So don't talk to me about swans or elephants or angels and devils when I know damn well you see the devil.
That may be, Will. It may be. But at least I made up my mind on what I see, while the rest of you struggle every day, wondering. Never knowing if you're on the good side or the bad, the happy or sad, the moral or unmoral.
Do you know what you've done? To your wife, to your kids, to everyone around you? What you continue to do?
I wasn't always like this, you know. I had a family that loved me, that I loved. I was happy once. I still smiled.
Somehow, I doubt that. So don't try to reinvent the past.
It's true. But do you really want to know what happiness is, Will? It's a mask. It's fake. And worst of all, even the illusion of it is fleeting. And yet we foolishly chase after it, grasping at air, expecting to catch something. The truth is, there's nothing there. It's not real.
All this time, Detective Brimel had been avoiding eye contact, but now he was in too deep, stuck across the table from a monster, staring him dead in the eyes. There was no escape.
You don't believe I was happy once? I have a picture that can prove it.
I don't care about any pictures you have. So if you're not gonna talk, I'm leaving.
Detective Brimel tried to force himself to stand up, a last-ditch effort to free himself from going down the rabbit hole with Jay, down to his own personal hell.
My wife would look at that picture and say, "Look how happy we were that day. Look at Charlie and Michael. You remember how happy they were when we took them to the carnival that day?"
I don't care, Jay.
But I don't remember anything about that picture or being happy. I only remember how terrified the kids were of the clowns. I tried and tried to explain that they were just playing dress-up like they do on Halloween, but they wouldn't believe it. But you know what? I was scared too. Scared of the masks they wore, hiding who they really were underneath.
That's enough. If you aren't gonna talk to me, I'm leaving and you can sit here alone.
That's when my wife suggested I take the kids into the maze of mirrors. I told her that I hated being inside there. But do you know what she did, Will? Do you know what she did? She laughed at me and told me to get over it. Told me the only reason I didn't like being in them was because of how they made me look.
Detective Brimel pulled back from the table, fighting the urge to get caught up in Jay's game.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. You asked me if I knew what I had done. Don't you want to hear how the story ends?
This was it. It was the moment Detective Brimel had feared for the past several weeks, ever since first coming face to face with the monster before him. They were coming to the end of the story, and Detective Brimel knew what he needed to do, the only thing he could do. He looked Jay straight in the eyes, The only way out now was getting to the end of the story, hearing it for himself.
My kids begged to go into the maze of mirrors, but my wife, oh, she couldn't go in. Said the mirrors make her dizzy. So she said that I would take the kids in. Can you believe that, Will? Can you believe that? Without even asking me. I was enraged with her, with the kids for making me do something I didn't want to do. It's then when I realized what I really was. What I was capable of doing.
Detective Brimel was silent, terrified to look away. He'd gone too far this time to turn back and not hear how the story would end.
You call it sick. I call it normal.
That's when you realize you were crazy. You know, everyone's not like you.
No. I realized it wasn't me that was crazy, but that it was everyone else that had the problem. Young couples in love, holding hands and laughing as they ran into the reflection right in front of their eyes. A girl laughing at her sister's short, fat reflection in the mirror.
People in love? Having fun? These were the people you realized were crazy?
Yes, exactly. See, they only saw what they wanted to see. But I could see them all for what they really were.
And what was that?
You know exactly what I saw, Will. You were there. You saw it all too.
I was there? That's your answer? I wasn't there, Jay. Hate to tell you, but I wasn't there.
What's in your hand, Will?
Detective Brimel could feel the throbbing in his hand, pulsing through his arm. But how did Jay know that? He couldn't. It wasn't possible.
What's in your hand, Will? Just look.
Detective Brimel looked down, releasing his clenched fist, seeing he had been holding a crumpled picture in his hand the entire time. It was a picture of the detective himself, a photo of William and his children at an amusement park.
I've never seen this before in my life.
There the whole time.
How did you do that?
I didn't. You've known the story the whole time. It's been there the whole time. You've been there the whole time. You don't see it yet. You've known the story the whole time.
Detective Brimel looked at the picture again. The dull, lifeless eyes, cold, dead. They were his own eyes.
You still don't see it yet, do you, Will? But you will. But you will. And when you do. Oh, it's gonna crush you. It's gonna take away everything you have. Do you see it yet?
Detective Brimel strained to look away, struggling, trying to free himself to take his eyes off of the photo.
I don't see what you see, Jay. I don't see it.
Close your eyes, Will. You'll see it.
Detective Brimel closed his eyes, losing control.
What do you see, Will?
I don't see anything.
You will. Open your eyes, Will.
Detective Brimel opened his eyes, terrified, shaking, defeated.
Now, what do you see?
What does it matter what I see?
Because perception is reality. Now, what do you see?
Take it back.
Tears were running down Detective Brimel's face.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Will. What do you see?
God damn it, take it back.
You see it now, don't you? Perception. You finally see what I've been trying to show. What do you see?
Take it back, Jay. Please, make it go away.
Will's wife Stacy didn't know what to think when she opened the bedroom door on her husband, curled in the corner of the room, over the top of his desk in the bedroom mirror.
What happened, Will?
I didn't like what I saw.
William Brimel was still looking at himself in the shattered pieces of glass, not knowing if it was Jay, the mirror, or just himself that he didn't like seeing.
Open your eyes, Will. Now what do you see?